So it's been a little while since I made a video. I moved recently, got a lot of stuff going on, so I've been slacking, but I owe you guys another video. But today, I'm not going to do a KLR video. I'll do that probably in a couple weeks when I get some more time off, and maybe do a wrap up of my overall thoughts of the KLR. But today, I'm going to do my new dirt bike. So this is a 2022 model KX450X, the off-road version. I had the option between the 2023 or 2022 model, and from what I can tell, there was no difference between at least 2021, 22, and 23, except I got a $1,000 rebate on this one. Not a great deal. I mean, I basically paid, MSRP for it and the $1,000 off, so I'm still happy with it. My last bike was a 2015 KX450 that was modified very similar, and I'll give you my overall thoughts of this, but so far, let me show you what I've done to it. So we'll kind of start from the front. I did cut this, I don't know what you want to call it, little strap off. I didn't do a very good job. I just kind of cut it off without taking a whole lot of time, and whatever. I did put the Pro Taper handguards on. Initially, I put a cheaper handguard on, and I didn't really like them. They weren't as adjustable. These fit a little bit better. I've run them in the past. I like the extenders that you can put on here. You basically use a rivet gun and they go up to about right there. But so far, if I look on certain websites, they show discontinued. If you go to the Pro Taper website, it just says out of stock. So I hope they start making them again. I did put the new handguards on. I like these ones because you just put them on with a Allen wrench and they stay on really good. I did put the Pro Taper levers on both sides. These ones I like because if you drop your bike, you don't break them off, and then they're adjustable. So you basically move that, and you can bring the lever in or out. Get back in my soapbox for bark busters, I'll kind of show you on my KLR why I don't run these on my dirt bike anymore, at least. So a lot of guys like these. It's very personal preference, but here's my opinion of it. I've crashed before. Your arm will fall in the bark buster like that, and I've almost broke my arm several times. I've known at least 3 people that broke their arm that way. So I've run them years and years ago. You hit trees, brush, everything. These aren't really helping me if I hit a tree. Hit and brush, I tend to find that these do almost just as good. So I like to run these anyway. They're lighter. The bike doesn't feel as bulky, at least up in the handguards. So, and plus, sometimes your hand will rub right here too. So I prefer these, but again, it's everybody's personal preference. These bars, so I ran the stock bars, and the bend, I just didn't like them. So this is I believe the RM bend, or the Kevin Windham bend. Pro Taper bars, and I put the Rocks risers on there. These are the, I don't know what's the one, I think it's like 1 3/4 inch, so they're not quite as tall as some other ones. I probably wish I would have gone with that 2 inch, but so far, I mean, it's okay. I got the Tusk gauge there, 8.0 on the bike right now, as far as hours go. You see where I mounted it, I see a lot of people do that, and I was a little skeptical if it'd fall off, but so far in 8 hours, it hasn't fallen off. But where I mounted it right there, if you get in the really tight stuff, it'll hit a little bit. So maybe if you guys mess with that in the future, try to mount it back, maybe just another 1/2 inch or whatever right there, and you might not get any interference. I did put the battery tender on here, or battery maintainer. So I run that just to keep the battery good. I also put a Tusk shifter on. I was going to do new foot pegs, but these are pretty wide. I like them so far, so no need to change them. I ran a kickstand on my last KX that would rub the swing arm, and it did okay on the bike, but this one, actually, the angle they have doesn't rub. And then when you put the bike down like off-road, like if you want to get off your bike, it does really well. So the gearing, 1351. dude, I really like this gearing a lot. So I've run 1352 a lot in the woods, and I think what 1448's the other gearing I had. I really like the mix that they have on here for the stock gearing. The tire, so far so good. I actually like that off-road tire. Exhaust, no change. I basically just put the little cap in there for the spark arrestor. You can see I didn't seat it super well, so it's kind of blowing out a little bit. But I was a little worried if it would fall out, but so far it's staying in there. So next time I probably do some maintenance on it. I'll see if I can seat it better and see if it'll keep it from, you know, venting or whatever you call it right there. And nothing else really on this side. One thing to note, the throttle, I really do not like the throttle on this. It's really jumpy compared to my last bike. I did make some adjustments with this thing. It helps somewhat, but I can't really get the throttle control that I prefer to. And I think, see, so very last thing, I just put the Myler's radiator cap on there. Just because I tend to ride the bike in the woods a lot. It'll boil over, especially in the slow stuff. There is no fan on the bike, so that's one of the drawbacks. You can see, I don't remember what they call this, but you basically run your different timings on here. Right now, this is the mid one. So you have the aggressive, the mid, and the mellow. It had the aggressive one on stock, and I didn't really mess with that much. It was during break-in, so I was kind of putting around. And then I put this on here. I really like this power band so far. But down the road, I'll try the different settings and see if I like them any better. But that being said, let's go take a ride. Okay, so we're out on the trail now, and I'm riding from my house in Fallon, Nevada to Fernley, Nevada, which is, I don't know, maybe like 25, 30 miles. I'll fill up there and come back. So a little bit of background on me. I started riding dirt bikes in probably 1995, I think. I was 15 years old. I rode pretty heavy for a long time. Got married, and then for about 12 years I didn't ride until after I was divorced again. So I bought, my last bike is 2015 KX450, configured very similar to this one, 18-inch rear wheel. The kickstand, pretty much the hand controls, bars, all stuff are the same. Suspension, of course, I had customized. And I love that bike, but I ended up selling it, and then I got in the KLR, and of course missed dirt bike stuff, so I bought this model. So one thing I didn't mention earlier was I'm still running stock suspension, and that's mainly because I have to drop probably about $4 into my truck here in the next couple weeks, so I'll wait. You know, it costs good $1,400 or $1,500 to upgrade your suspension, but man, it's worth it. This stock suspension is garbage basically for me. If you're over 200 pounds, it just does not work that well. And maybe I was just too spoiled before. We'll take one of these little side roads here, and you know, it's like it's not valved properly for what I'm doing. Definitely way too soft of spring rate, and yeah, it just doesn't handle that well. So after I upgrade, I'm sure it'll be a lot better. As compared to my last bike, this thing's a little bit lighter. It's more narrow. And to be honest, when I first got on it, it was unrideable. It was so bad. Basically where the bars, I don't know if you can see it here, so the bars have different positions in the triple clamp, so I move them up. The other bars are basically in my lap. And again, the throttle thing I didn't like, so it's coming together now. But now that I got the bars kind of up where I need them, then I can get in more proper body position. The motor, as compared to my last, it feels stronger, especially up in the top end when I have it tapped out. It's pretty similar. The fuel economy, I can't really say is really that much better or worse. You know, it's like, if anything, it's probably a little bit worse. Riding like this, I can probably pretty comfortably do about 60 to 70 miles. After that, it's kind of questionable how much fuel I have left. but considering the tank's only like 1.4 gallons, I guess that's not too bad. So I rode my bike this weekend up in the Plumas National Forest in California, or what's left of it, I should say, because I rode through all the Dixie Fire scar, and most of the forest was wiped out in the last year. But I haven't really had much experience on this bike yet. I just broke it in a little bit, rode it around. But I definitely can't ride these sections as aggressive as I used to with the suspension set up the way it is. All these sand whoops. But it's still pretty fun. Definitely not in shape. My arms tire out through this stuff a lot quicker now. The handling of the bike, flat tracking's pretty good. Of course, I'm not doing much jumping with it here. I'll slow down a little bit so I can talk a little bit easier. Does well in the sand. I like the stock tire. That'd be pretty good G out to hit. Pretty hard on accident if you're not watching it. But I really like this gearing. This gearing works so well in the woods and even out here on this stuff. The things I wish this bike had was a sixth gear and maybe like a fan for the radiator. Other than that, you know, I really like the bike. And I'll take it pretty easy today. I'm just out riding by myself. I took a day off work, so don't want to do anything stupid and end up on the ground. So if anybody watched my KLR videos, there was one, I can't remember what I named it. It was basically riding in the sand. And I almost dropped the bike on that video. This is the same trail. I'm basically running it backwards now here in about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles. I'll come up onto the point where I turn around. And also, if anybody's familiar with the area, there was a pretty big fire in the railroad yard last weekend. It burned all the, something like 5,000 railroad ties. And I'm coming up behind that here in a few. I don't know if you can make it out in the camera, but that little darker colored hill out in the distance, that's Hazen, Nevada. But anyway, I'll check back in when I get further up there to kind of show maybe some more capabilities of the bike and stuff that I like or don't like about it. So check in with you in a few. Alright, we're getting pretty close to Hazen now. We're basically already on the trail on that other KLR video. Wish there's more big lake beds to screw around on out here, but most of these are pretty tiny. For any of you wondering what I run for my odometer or whatever, I basically this Garmin Fortrex, I think that's what it's called, like Fortrex 401 or something. I got that in Afghanistan, and I just wrap it around right here, and it works great for, you know, GPS, speedometer, odometer. It's basically my fuel gauge. I usually plan for about 60 miles, whether I'm in the woods or even in the desert. If I'm really cranking it up, then I'll shorten that some, and I usually run the MSR fuel bottle, which gives me about 9 miles extra. Yeah, suspension is so soft. But we're going to cut under the bridge over here for the railroad tracks. Here's that corner I almost dropped my KLR in. See, another reason I don't need bark busters on this thing. Pretty sandy, it's like beach sand through here. This bike does really good in the sand though. But it's like the only spot I can cut under the bridge. I don't really like to go over the tracks. Especially because they're active tracks, it's pretty busy. You see all the freight trains and Amtrak stuff coming through here. But I'll follow this back a few miles
maybe we'll do a little speed test, see what this bike tops out at. But I'll tell you now, this place I'm gonna go, it's a little bit uphill, so I'll probably lose a few miles an hour on that. But I pulled about 82 miles an hour out of this bike, and that's a 1351 gearing, so I think that's pretty good. And like I said, compared to my 2015 model, it seems like in the top it tends to pull a little harder. So a lot of that probably has to do with timing. And so I'll take leave in a couple of weeks or vacation days and do some dirt bike rides, some KLR rides, maybe make a couple videos. But yeah, I didn't really care for this bike that much when I got it at first, but I'm starting to get it tuned in for my liking now. That's one of my opinions, or one of the biggest, most important things is setup. You know, it's like rider technique is only part of it, but setup is massive on how the bike handles. And the biggest thing you can do is basically modify the handlebars or risers, get the bend that you like, and suspension is probably the #1 thing. Foot pegs are pretty huge too. So far these are fine. I bought, you know, nearly $400 foot pegs in the past, and to be honest, I don't even like them as much as these, because those other ones just destroy my boot soles because they're so sharp. These are just pretty standard. I don't know, like, you know, motocross style. They work good. I'm sure they wouldn't work as good in the mud, but you know, to be honest, getting older now, I don't really care that much to ride in the mud. These vehicles are new up here. I rode this a couple weeks ago. So you're probably gonna have to skirt around them here. It doesn't look like anybody's around. I know when that fire is going on, I'm basically riding on a pipeline right now, and the fire was so hot that I heard that they were really concerned with the pipeline. So it's just kind of not really getting these guys' way. Oh, I got a little trail to get through here. One thing about the desert out here, you know, I was just riding in sand, and I don't know, whatever you call this kind of dirt, all that stuff that comes up that the geothermal plant uses. Like, look at that shit. I'm just gonna cut through that. It's like all silt. That stuff sucks right in. Gets in the air filter. Sucks it right in with buddies. Little patches of it here or there. See if you can come up on that where that fire was and get a little bit of a peek in there without getting in anybody's way. And then I'll get closer to Fernley. It'll start getting pretty rocky, so get a full mix of different kinds of terrain today in just one short ride. Most of the rides I do, I probably, I don't know, 60 miles on average if I go out. I kind of like exploring and going longer distances. Like, I'm not, you know, like when a teenager, you know, it's like you just want to ride tracks, do jumps and all that stuff. That's not as fun to me. That's one of the big reasons I got the KLR. Yeah, we're not going to get full speed on this one. Oh man, right when I looked down, the battery died on my thing. I was looking for some more AAAs when I was in the garage, but I think the kids chewed them up. Like, literally, I glanced down at that right when I started to go, and it had battery power. That was probably, I don't know, 75, 78 miles an hour. This thing's not really geared to go much faster than that. Said I would love to have a 6th gear, but I'm not racing this. This bike is built for, you know, like air scrambles and stuff, but I don't really need to gear it high. Don't go to that too hot. Alright, so now we're getting to where that fire is. You can see some of the I don't know, charcoal, I guess, whatever you call that, with excavators moving it. But because I heard that there's 5,000 railroad ties there, and you know, they're coated and all that. I don't know, whatever the hell it is, like tar or something. highly toxic, and the whole yard's gone. But yeah, it feels good to be back on a dirt bike. You know, it's like you stop doing it, you know, you miss it, and this is my idea of therapy. Go out and relax and, you know, have a good time. I don't want to, you know, go too crazy and get hurt. Definitely, said, past my race days, I would have to really get serious into it, get in shape, you know, lose a lot of weight before I race, and I'm just not that interested in it. So I'll tell you, like, you know, you go ride with some of those dudes in their, you know, 40s, 50s, and 60s, they will run laps around you out here on this kind of stuff. They're so unbelievably fast. Like, if you don't ride off-road or ride with people like that, like, you have no idea until you actually do it the first time. You know, fortunately for me, I have lots of friends that, you know, are older like that, and they ride it, well, we'll call it like a very skilled level, and kind of keep it somewhat slow through here, not kick up too much dust for the highway. We'll round this corner and hit that one section, see what kind of top speed that we pull out of this, but we're gonna have to guess on that one since I don't have a working GPS at the moment. Yeah, I don't really use digital maps on GPSs. I'm more carrying like paper maps, you know, and I navigate that way. I kind of stop and you know, figure out a route of travel, put in waypoints if I need to, but most of my GPS stuff's just sanity check. I usually look behind me pretty often, make sure there's not somebody coming up behind me. Everybody I ever see out in places like this, they never ever look behind them. I always, you know, try not to spook them, but they're never expecting somebody else out here. Alright, let's start grabbing some gears. We're already in 5th gear. Probably 80 miles an hour maybe. And those cars on the road, they're probably doing between 70 and 75. So we're getting up into Fernley now. I left the house a little short and fueled. I didn't have more fuel in my gas can, so I'm gonna go top off when I get up here, and then, you know, ride some of my old favorite areas in Fernley, and then head back home. So we'll turn the camera off, see if I can save a little bit of battery power for maybe a few things back there. There's some soft shit here. Okay, we're dropping down into this little sand pit now, or whatever you want to call it. Go do a couple of hill climbs. You see all the trash back in here. People have no respect. But I'll maybe hit it, not with very much momentum at the bottom, so we can kind of see how good the motor pulls up the hill with the tire. See if you can do it without falling over. But this is on the back side of Fernley now, kind of Reno side. So let's find our gear, and maybe the steepest part of the hill looks like it's going to be in front of us. So yeah, let's try second gear. And good thing I have bump start capability. So we'll hit it with not much momentum right here. See how she does. Oh yeah, super easy. Yeah, it was super easy. It's been I don't know, a little while since they've had rain out here, but that was not hard to climb at all. So, now let's go try this other one over here. It's kind of fun one to hit. But yeah, that was nothing. This is a much better tire than the desert tire I used to run. Probably much better for the sand. Really good hooking up, really good pull all the way up the hill there. But we got this one here, which will cross the road, which basically makes you lose your momentum. So let's do second gear again. Make sure we're clear. Got some guy up there. Yes. This thing climbs real good. Some sandy stuff there, man. So now we'll head back towards Fallon. Maybe take a little bit of a back way that I didn't do on the way in here. See if that one guy's still back here that he is basically squatting on the BLM land, and he starts at traps. He would lay rocks across the road or other things and then camouflage them with sticks, which is pretty messed up, you know. Like, people out here to ride and have a good time, and you're on BLM land, dude, and you're in an area that people like to go and ride, so you're gonna sit here and set potentially fatal traps for them. This is pretty deadly right here. I go so slow through this stuff because you can, like, just be cruising along, you know, flip the throttle, end up in the canal if you don't drown or lose your bike. There's no way out. So you're gonna have to go down the canal a long distance before you can find a way out. And this on the other side, you know, same thing. You flip your throttle, you know, lose your balance a little bit or something, just cruise along like this. You launch off this cliff into the tracks. I mean, that can be fatal. I don't know what it looks like on camera, but that's an easily fatal situation. And then even if you survived it, if you end up on the tracks, any train coming around the corner isn't going to be able to stop before they see you. So yeah, that's kind of stuff, dude. I'm not here to impress. I'm not here to survive. But one thing I like about Nevada is you have all these areas that you can ride. You know, it's a combination of different kinds of land, but for the most part, everybody rides, you know, and yeah, I try to be respectful to the people, you know. I don't go fast when I'm around people or neighborhoods or whatever. You know, get out here, you can open it up. It used to be a fun little jump here. I'm sure it's all washed out now, but you kind of hit these little whoops right here. You jump, and then you jump over all those. It's washed out pretty bad now, but that was fun a couple years ago, or whatever it was, a year and a half ago, that I would ride my motorcycle. There's train. One thing I've noticed since COVID is, like, I don't see anywhere near the amount of people out here. I don't know if it's more, you know, everything's so expensive right now, but like that first, probably a few months out of my motorcycle, I would see people on side-by-sides a lot, whatever, but I rarely run into anybody nowadays, whether it's a weekend or after work. I think everybody's just running out of money. Another bum set up on the tracks here. At least they got a tent, and it's not trashed yet. There's this area I passed by the bridge earlier, and there's so much trash under there. So let's get up here, cross under this bridge, and then cut over by the old Fernley motocross track, which unfortunately I think the LLC that owned the track had sold it to the land developer, so they shut it down. You know, and that track's been in operation, I don't know how long, dude, but probably since the you know, at least the 80s, if not long before that. You know, so 40 probably years it was in operation, and then they sold it to a developer, which just basically closed it off. But you have another track that's in Fernley at the Motor Speedway or whatever they call it. It's a much more modern track, and I think it's owned by Ektiknap, whatever his name is, his brother. And they've been holding practices out there pretty regularly. I don't know if they have any races yet, but it was kind of sad to see a track that used to have, you know, lots of people come from all over ride it, and then now it's pretty much tore up. See if we can get a look at it when we get up here. One of the reasons I live in Nevada where I do is, you know, for dirt bikes and off-road stuff. You know, it's pretty well known. Everybody does it out here. I don't really see anybody complain. I only had one person flip me off. I was riding on a trail next to the road, pretty slow, you know, just like putting around, and it was a Tesla. And the back seat, the kid couldn't have been more than 8 years old, and he sticks his finger out the window right next to his parents' head. I knew they could see it, and I was going, that's pretty good parenting right there. And then, you know, I kind of noticed where they live later on down the road, and let's just say they're not from Nevada. They're most certainly from California, and I'm from California too, by the way. I'm just from you know, a small mountain town, and definitely has changed. It used to be fun to race cars, but I don't want to piss this guy off that lives up here in this house. We'll kind of cruise by a little slow, low power, and not scares of animals or anything. I think he's got a couple goats or something. He had something back there, but I'm sure he's used to it. It's like a little back road. You see, I found an abandoned vehicle more than once on this road. Or probably tweakers in the middle of the night joyriding stuff and leaving it. So anybody that's in the Fernley track will recognize where I'm at now. Crossing under I-80. And to kind of show you they did the track, if you can make anything out. So they put up no passing signs. They used to have a chain up here, but you can't really tell. They basically had a track you go through, tear up all the jumps so people can't ride it, and it's just sitting out here now. I'm assuming they're probably land developers. The market right now is currently in a full-up crash, so I'm sure they'll hold on to it for years, but it's kind of sad. This little section back here is where I really wish I had better suspension, because these are usually like fifth gear whoops, and can't come into them too hot right now. Yeah, I jumped some of them. Got to be careful what's up on the other side here. Somebody else could be coming as fast as I am and get in a collision. Another abandoned car, great. Aren't people awesome? This is pretty whooped out. I don't know what it looks like on camera, but those are some whoops. I'm going to kind of slow down here to make sure got this crossroad, and then I got this other trail I need to get up on here. So yeah, right here. So it's like an old railroad or something. You can tell when you get further up here. But anyway, that crossroad, It reminds me one time I was riding down, what is it called, Stoddard Wells maybe, down there by Barstow, going to /X. So yeah, I'm out there by myself, so there's usually plenty of people, so I just link up with a group of people and go right at the group. Well, I'm tailing Charlie, and yeah, there's a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s that, you know, they're out just having a good time. And we're on this single track, and I can see there's this main road out in the distance in front of us, and I can see a massive dust trail from a trophy truck that's probably doing 120 miles an hour or so. And all these guys are just looking right in front of them, you know, like right here, and they're not looking around. They have like no situational awareness. And at first, 2 guys go through, and you know, I don't think they ever saw it. The guy that was in front of me, I think the trophy truck, it had to miss its back fender by maybe an inch or 2. It was that close to death. And then they all kind of stopped. But you really got to keep your eyes open, you know, watch out for stuff like this. You know, it's like I'm looking for anybody else coming. I've come into so many situations where I've had near misses. If any of you guys watch Dust to Glory, there's that part where Larry Rosser's talking about, you know, he's bounced off friends in his cars, he's bounced off of fences, he bounced off of cattle, and when he's spouting that stuff off, I'm thinking like, I've done all 3 of those. And then on any of these trails, whether it's in the woods or in the desert, you know, nobody's expecting you to be there because you're usually pretty isolated. So I've never once seen somebody that has done anything other than deer in the headlights. I'm always the one that's ready and moves out of the way. They're just not expecting it. And then kind of go back to where I took that break about 12 years. Well, that was the gap where side-by-sides weren't really a thing yet. And then I started riding, you know, later on. And man, those side-by-sides are so dangerous because you know, have weekend warriors, a little heavy gear there, weekend warriors that are out having a good time, flat tracking around corners, you know, but the dirt bike come the other way, it usually is not as fortunate. And I don't even know what kind of fatalities they had down my Barstow. Fatalities so often when I lived down there. One time I had I was at the staging area, unload the truck, getting geared up. I saw this fire engine go by and a couple of CHP officers go by. So I finished gearing up, and then I you know, went down and talked to the CHP officer, and I basically like, hey man, you want me to help you guys find them? And he basically kind of gave me, you know, the lowdown of where they explained they were, but they were about a mile up the highway, basically north of the 76 station there where Chili's and stuff is now. And I found them the same time the helicopter did. The helicopter's on airborne alert because of Dumont Dunes and I-15. So many fatalities on the weekend, they just fly airborne alert. Well, I get up there, this guy probably in his 30s is dead. The rest of the group is sitting there in shock. 16-year-old kid, unconscious when I was there, but he's still alive. So I kind of, you know, just got out of their way, let the helicopter, you know, pick him up, fly him down to Loma Linda. I don't know if the kid survived or not. I don't think he did. What turns out to happen is, you know, Dad's, you know, just hops on the quad, you know, put a helmet on, nothing else. Went down to 76 station to grab some ice. You know, the rest of the family's back in the RV. You know, they're probably just up from LA area for the weekend, you know, have a good time. And dude's riding back, sitting down in the quad while this other group's coming down this wadi. And kid is standing up. Well, basically the kid's chest hit the guy's head, broke that guy's neck, instantly killed him. You know, kid, like I said, probably so much internal damage on him. And it's not that either of them going that fast. You know, they're probably each doing 30 miles an hour, but that's, you know, a lot of kinetic energy combined. So, you know, this poor guy's family is back there, you know, not knowing Dad is dead. You know, same thing as kid. So you really got to keep an eye on the swivel. It's always dangerous no matter how often you are here, no matter how experienced you are, it still kills most experienced people, so you really got to pay attention. That other video I had, that guy used to live out there for like 2 years in a Suburban, and he's not there right now. We're coming up on to where that dead cow was for a couple years of rotting, and then we're gonna go past this douchebag's fucking little setup here, because he's lived out there for a couple years now and they haven't kicked him off the land. So part of me right now just wants to screw it and just full throttle by his place. But let's see if he has any trap set for us today. And he had it really dirty in here. He had so much junk in here. Let's see how it looks. I think the last time I rode the KLR through here, he actually cleaned it up a little bit. Kind of make out just on the other side of this little hill here. So it looks like he's got some friends. They have their own little encampment here. It's actually way more clean than it used to. Nice trunk fire there. But dude, if you're gonna live in a place like that, yeah, don't be trying to kill dirt bikers or people in their ATVs, man. But man, it is a beautiful day. It's no smoke. You got I think there's a mosquito fire going on right now in California. It smoked us out last week, and then now temperatures dropped. They're getting some rain over there. It's probably maybe 65 to 70 degrees right now. And this is why I took the day off work. But anyway, I will get home. We'll put the video together and post it, and then probably in a couple weeks, say do a combination of maybe a dirt bike video or two, and then a KLR video or two. And honestly, after that, I don't really have much more. I'm not in this for building content. You know, it's like a long-term channel. I just want to kind of help out some people, because, you know, I've watched a lot of YouTube for years and years, and, you know, it's like I like to see when people post videos of, you know, they're no shit opinions. You know, you got a lot of people that, you know, are out there, you know, they need you sponsorships and all this stuff and trout items, so you have a little bias to it. But yeah, I just give my opinions on, you know, what I'm riding, so it helps whoever, you know, have a better educated decision of what they want to buy. So with that, we'll see you later.